The room fell silent as Sylvia discovered the incredible truth about Nicola's inheritance. She had entered the bank as a mocked widow and was leaving with a secret that would change her life forever. Before continuing, I invite you to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss the next exciting stories. Enjoy. Sylvia was a woman who had been severely tested by life. After the sudden death of her husband Nicola, she found herself having to face loneliness and poverty. Their house in Turin was small and old, with paint peeling from the walls and furniture worn by time. Nicola worked hard every day, but his job didn't pay much. Sylvia, on the other hand, cleaned at a local bank. Her hands were always rough from the hard work, but she never complained. His once handsome face was lined with fatigue, and his hair was unkempt. His clothes were simple and chosen more for comfort than style. When the man died, Sylvia's world fell apart. She felt a deep pain that wouldn't go away, and she cried often, making her face even more tired. At the funeral, she was the only one there. No friends came to pay their respects to her husband. The woman stood by the grave, tears falling like rain. She clutched the man's old coat, a piece of him that remained in her. Sylvia's life became even harder after her husband's death. People in the city saw her as a woman left behind, a silent widow. When she walked through the streets, people whispered and children laughed, unaware of the burden she carried. At the market, vendors glanced at her empty basket, thinking she was weak. She clutched her lover's old coat tighter, a symbol of their love. The funeral had drained her savings, and she needed her salary. One day, a colleague suggested she claim her late husband's inheritance. With hesitant steps, she entered the bank and approached the counter where Patrick, the teller, worked. "Here again, Sylvia?" Patrick said with a wry smile. "What is it this time? The big $10 inheritance?" Laughter erupted in the room, but the woman remained firm. "Please check the bill," she said in a voice barely above a whisper. Patrick began typing on the keyboard with a bored expression, but his smile faltered when he saw the numbers on the screen. "What is this?" he stammered in disbelief. The balance showed a figure that made the widow's head spin. Millions. "This is Nicola's inheritance," Sylvia said. Patrick's face paled and his courage vanished. I didn't know." "Please transfer it to the account I provided," the woman said. Sylvia walked out of the bank, feeling the weight of the moment on her shoulders. She had entered a derided and undervalued woman and left with the means to change her life. Nicola's secret was out. He was the sole heir to a fortune, a wealth he had chosen not to use in order to live a life of love and respect rather than luxury. Now, with his disappearance, Sylvia found herself at the crossroads of a new life, one that Nicola had silently secured for them. As she walked back into her quiet home, she felt the air heavy with sadness. Everything reminded her of her dead husband. She picked up one of her books from the shelf, and a letter fell out. It was from Nicola. Her hands shook as she opened it, and her eyes filled with tears as she read his words explaining money, his family, and why he had never used it. Tears ran down her cheeks, but her heart was full of love for her husband. It was then that she made a decision. She would use the money to help others. Nicola had died of cancer, and she wanted to make sure no child had to fight alone. She would start a center for children with cancer, a place filled with hope and love, just like Nicola would have wanted. Sylvia entered the pediatric oncology center, her heart heavy, but full of hope. The walls were painted a bright yellow, but the air was still permeated by a silent sadness. She could hear the faint beeps of the machines and the distant laughter of the children. She walked slowly, looking at the small beds and the brave faces of the children. Some had lost their hair, but not their spirits. The nurses moved gently, offering kind words and warm smiles. She was wearing a simple dress, one that Nicola liked. Her face showed signs of pain, but also the determination to make a difference. As she moved through the center, she felt her husband's presence beside her. She knew it was the right thing to do. Using the money to help those children was her way of honoring Nicola's memory. Sylvia's eyes widened when she saw Patrick sitting in a corner of the cancer center. His head was bowed, and his hands were clasped around a small, pale hand, that of his daughter Monica. The room was filled with the hum of machines and the hushed whispers of voices, but the woman could feel the weight of Patrick's worry from across the space. She approached hesitantly, her footsteps silent on the linoleum floor. The man looked up, his face flushed with embarrassment. "Sylvia," he stammered, "it's just that—" He was interrupted by Monica's soft cough, a sound that seemed too big for such a small body. The woman knelt beside Monica's bed, her heart aching at the sight of the little girl's fragile body. "It's okay, Patrick," she said softly. "Tell me what's wrong." If you like this story, leave a like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thanks. Patrick's eyes were ringed with red as he explained, "My daughter needs surgery. It's expensive, and I don't have the money." His voice broke, and he looked away, ashamed. Sylvia reached out, placing a hand on Patrick's arm. "I can help you," she said firmly. "Would you do it for us?" he asked. "Yes," Sylvia said, "for Monica." Sylvia looked at the little girl, her eyes full of hope. "What do you say, little one? Ready to get better and play outside again?" Elise nodded, a small smile flickering on her lips. She imagined a place where laughter was the best medicine, where children like Monica could heal and thrive. As she left the center that day, the sun broke through the clouds, casting a warm glow on the world. Sylvia felt her husband's love all around her, a gentle reminder that even in loss, there was a way to bring hope. The woman kept her promise. She used Nicola's fortune to build a modern and welcoming pediatric oncology center. The center became a beacon of hope for many families, providing high-quality medical care and a loving environment for young patients.